so we will go through this process individually and collectively of like reworking and retooling. The feedback I would give for KIP is this whole inspires and prepares the entire team for college, lifelong. So we got a little bit of comma there, but it's more like, so going back to what someone said earlier, how do you measure that? Is it entrance or graduation? And that's what actually needs to be in there. And I think it's odd that the mission and vision, like the same words are just in both places. So like, again, I think a vision is like this aspirational, to me, where these things about like inspiring, empowering, preparing go. But the mission is like a very tangible, measurable outcome that you're driving to. And I feel like this could all be distilled into KIP Renaissance High School, something about acceptance rate, or something about graduation rate, or graduation, or lifelong career ready, whatever the case is, you know? Like I feel like this is, compared to the three that we were looking at yesterday, this gets into that like sort of fuzzy, some buzzwords and a lot of commas, because they haven't like just sat down and they have, you know, whoever KIP Renaissance was, he or she did. But still, like this process of like, you gotta distill it. Like, what is core? Is it getting kids into a selective middle school? Like, it stops there. And the other pieces go into like the core values or go into the socialization aspect. And I think that's the one challenge that all leaders, school leaders and others, like, you want to put everything into your mission, but it becomes diluted and generic and sometimes a page long or sometimes a run-on sentence that it's like, this is actually implied. I think that's one thing Ben hit a lot with, and it was with someone who shared yesterday. He was like, so that's all implied by saying they're going to go to a high-performing magnet school. You don't need to put the other stuff in. You'll work it into the core values, but like to get into a magnet school assumes these things, so you don't need to write it again. You got to distill it, and it's got to be really tight.
And I think really getting to those like 3 to 5 metrics of success that are really, really detailed and clear at the end of this overview. Like these will be our outcomes. I think for these 2 documents, the schools were asked to put long-term and short-term, so you see that in their writing. I don't know that y'all need to do that. I think though, having those really clear distilled outcomes also helps you make hard choices along the way. You know, at collegiate, we had the outcome of college success for all scholars, and that meant that we constantly went back to that in every decision that we were making. And sometimes they were really tough decisions about like what do we value over other things, but having a real crystal clarity about mission and outcomes helped us make those really tough decisions. You know, when you're dealing with kids, like it is so hard, and day in and day out you're making such difficult decisions. It is really nice to have this as a framework by which you make those tough choices day to day, and you lead your teachers when they're making those tough choices. For the Carver doc, I agree that it lacks cohesiveness, but it also does contain, so while they're not cohesive, I think they do a job of putting out core elements of their school. You know, they don't really make sense altogether, but I like that they're there in this section, that they say, okay, we're going to do a 9th grade academy. Like that's something that we believe in. And when we had, I interfaced with the Carver, the folks who wrote this application for years and years and years, because collegiate ended up taking over Carver. And the folks what you should be able to like dream and put a bunch of stuff on paper and then look at it and be like, are all these things like getting me to the outcomes that I want to get to? Like if not, like, do I really need to be putting this into place right now? What are other takeaways?
I just have a question. I know that KID included their, some of the support that they would receive from different organizations and not necessarily Carver. How important is that through this process?
I mean, so I
this is the frame. I mean, there's the framework in here, but
Yeah.
I think the framework is the important part of this, rather than they were doing this for a different reason. It seems like than what we're doing ours right now, and it seems like Mark has always just emphasized more the how rather than diving deep down. I could be wrong, but diving deep down into the research-based
Well, I
aspect.
agree, because if I shared this with my stakeholders, they'd look at me like I had 5 heads.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't
Yeah.
understand what this meant.
Right.
So putting this in, our mission, vision statements, I don't think will be effective because our stakeholders are not going to understand what we're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, there are not, we are leaning on charter applications as exemplar documents because there aren't, what y'all are doing is really unique, right? And so this is the closest example to what the work is that you're doing. But yeah, when push comes to shove, I mean, I think the takeaway is that your overview needs to include a mission, a vision, core values, key elements of your school, and key outcomes. What outputs are you going to have at the end of the year? Also, an overview is the overview, right? So that was the other push that I was going to put on this is I would actually push you to outline what you want this section to contain and then tackle the culture and academic sections
cities, they are the highest performing school in said city, like, just give them the charter, let them do it, we have full faith in that. And I think like KIPP is one that often falls into that bucket. Like most authorizers or sponsors would be like, yeah, you've done it, we will give you money to come here. Like, don't even worry about the application, like just hand in what you've done before. And with us, it's sort of the opposite. It is like, again, this is truly a document to guide. And I think there's a lack of specifics in most charter applications that there's either an assumption they know what to do because they've done it before, or that's like the glaring thing about like, no, like you guys gotta redo this and try to come back next year. And part of it, like that's just the nature of the business. Like certain operators have earned the right where an authorizer is willing to take a leap of faith because they've done it before and they have full faith in the organization. And for someone that isn't proven, it's like, no, you know, we need to see it, actually hear how you plan to do it. I think when we think about the playbook, the level of specifics is probably going to be the reoccurring theme. So like, you want kids to do a certain thing, like explain how. Like, so this is how. Like, nope, like talk me through your PD, talk me through your first day of school, things like that. So I feel like it's going to be very detailed, and we'll probably have to throughout the summer, like of these 3 or 5 things we really wanted to do, like let's focus on 2, and like let's get them knocked out of the park between now and October, and then think about how we layer on more and more components. So I think that's something else to be thinking about. Like as you think through the year, we know we can't do everything by August 15th, and there's going to be a tiering. And we know that culture is such a huge part of what we want to do. So like, yeah, we have an academic framework, but if we expect teachers to truly like get their class in a certain way before we can really dive into academics, like we're gonna have time to flesh that out before September, or whatever the case may be. So there's gonna be some of this tiering. And I think with that comes like either pushing things off in the interim to be really specific and precise about the thing, or thing 1 or 2, 3 that are like truly core to launching and having a good year, and then like how we build on that throughout, you know? Like I think another example, if someone puts in something about like data-driven instruction being a core tenet, what data do we even have? Like we have math that's pretty unreliable right now, and if we're talking about next year's math that is more reliable, like we won't even get that for a few weeks, if not a month in. So how do we prioritize our time with what we're truly focusing on, whether it's August or the first few weeks or month of school?
More question for Mark. So we're creating this document. Do we have to give attention to what our ed plan is that's already filed? And does it have to align, or is this on top of it? Is it going to get specifically the 3 of us in a tough spot?
So again, I think, and we hit on this yesterday, there's part of this where for certain schools and certain school leaders, whether you're a Buckeye school or not, it's like bringing together historical, whether it's ed plan, whether it's goals that have been set, whether it's caps, and like folding that into this in a way that makes sense, right? There might not be complete alignment, but some of this is the nature of us as turnaround schools versus new launch schools. New launch schools, like there's no baggage. There's no prior commitments, there's no whatever the case is. That's not the luxury we have. So it is trying to find the right balance, or taking whether it's components of the ed plan and being like, so the ed plan is what it is, but like this is the one area that is so key that I'm gonna like really hone in on this, whether it's throughout the summer, throughout the year, whatever the case may be. And then same thing with goals. Like we have goals mandated by sponsor, mandated by your charter. I mean, it's logical to work those into this in a way that feels authentic and feels right. I highly doubt that anyone in this room is going to have goals that does not take math into account in some way, because it is the benchmark with which we are measured. Now that doesn't mean that you won't also have interim data that you rely more heavily on, whether it's iRead, whether it's some other reading component. But I think that's going to be a constant like push and pull throughout the summer of like, this is, again, prior commitments, prior documentation, prior this, that, and the other thing. Like, what of this is really core, you know? And then I think related to that is, and we talked about this yesterday, ultimately our sponsors would not be, and we're talking about Buckeye more than the other, but level of scrutiny when our schools, they won't when our schools are doing well, right? So I do think a part of this, and Buckeye knows we're all going through this process and they know what our summer is gonna look like, but a part of this truly is like, if you set out to have a school similar to the video you saw, and Buckeye walked into your campus and saw your teachers doing every morning, thigh shout out, seeing like clear language expectations, like they will start to be like, this school is where it's getting where it needs to be. And while they will look back to goals and ed plans and CAP plans, I think we all know like they want a couple of certain things. Ultimately, it's going to come down to how our students do on math. But like there is a part of this where when they walk into a school that has a different feel and different expectation and shared and all these things that we talked about that go in the mission creation, I do think that's also going to change their lens. Ultimately, we still need to hit our goals. Like a great school where everyone is loved and happy and bought in, but kids aren't learning, like no one wants that. But I do think like while we need to incorporate that, some of this is like I don't think anywhere in any document that anyone has looked at in years it talks about